The How to Train Your Dragon movies make up an amazing trilogy. The first movie does the amazing job of introducing an extremely unique setting and universe, and tells an amazing story that is solely founded on the relationship of two unlikely best friends, a son and a father, a boy and his love interest, and the hate of two different societies towards the other.
They've killed hundreds of us!
And we've killed thousands of them!
The second movie tells an amazing story about identity, war, and further develops the relationship between Hiccup and his parents, as well as the friendship of two best friends.
I know that I'm not my father, and I never met my mother, so what does that make me?
And the last movie, although flawed in some aspects, manages to close out Hiccup's journey on his identity and on accepting that he has value, being who he is.
You are the bravest, most stubborn, most determined knucklehead I know. Toothless didn't give you that, Hiccup. He just made it
Easier.
I first watched How to Train Your Dragon in 2021. The first fully online year of school had just gone by, and we were finally on summer break after a dreadful year of staying home every day of the week. So, after getting some clips recommended to me on YouTube, I finally watched it. And I loved it. Naturally, after a few months, I watched the second movie, and I also loved it. In my hype over the How to Train Your Dragon series, and knowing that I wouldn't watch the third one for a while, I saw that there was a How to Train Your Dragon TV show on Netflix. That show was named Dragons: Race to the Edge. It looked inoffensive, and I went in expecting some cheap How to Train Your Dragon show that would just give me something to feed on that hype until I watched the third movie.
If fish nuggets were the last food on the planet, I would happily starve.
But
Oh my gosh.
what I got though was an experience infinitely greater than simple. Dragons Race to the Edge is a top tier show. In fact, I would go as far as to say that it is on the same level as the movies, and today I'll give you my analysis on why it is so great. Dragons Race to the Edge has 6 seasons. It follows Hiccup and the Dragon Riders as they go explore islands far outside of Berg. They settle on the island which they later named Dragon's Edge. In their stay, they find new types of dragons and new enemies, and join the war to free the dragons from all the different dragon hunters, including Vigo, who is after one of Hiccup's possessions, the Dragon Eye.
What is this thing?
For each different lens, it reveals a different map with locations and information of different and mystical dragons, and when all the lenses are required, it reveals the King of Dragons.
Hiccup, this map, you realize it goes beyond the boundaries of the archipelago. Oh, I know.
Look at this! There are maps we have never seen. Writing we can't read. Dragons we don't recognize. It's incredible!
So now the question is, what makes this series so good? What? The Dragon Riders make this series good? I know, that's probably what you're thinking, but hear me out. Yes, just like you probably believe, I too think that the Dragon Riders are very, very stupid, annoying, messed up, and brainless in the How to Train Your Dragon movies. Especially the third one.
Why can't I get this cage open?
It slides.
Were you followed?
I never look back, Hiccup.
Who died and made you chief?
What?
Everyone has that doubt, that not so subtle disappointment, that longing for something more than you.
I think it's time for number 2 to become number 1.
Think that's a good entrance? Get a load of me!
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
The Dragon Riders have pretty much no redeeming qualities about them. Aside from the first movie, they're not funny, they're extremely toxic, they usually serve no purpose to the story, and they make a horrible case as to why they deserve the title of Dragon Riders. Dragons Race to the Edge manages to take all the problems that the Dragon Riders had in all 3 movies and not only fixes them, but actually makes them work to the point where the inclusion of the Dragon Riders in the series is a big winner for the show. And I can say that without a trace of doubt in my mind. This show doesn't just have the Dragon Riders, it needs them. Possibly the best thing that the show manages to do with the Dragon Riders is managing to balance out the stupidity of the Dragon Riders with their actual human personalities. What I mean by that is that these characters are way more than simple joke machines that most of the time don't even work. They are actual human characters that have struggles, that are facing constant challenges and internal conflicts. They change throughout the series, and they actually have significant and cohesive character arcs. And because the show knows that it needs to have those serious moments, where the Dragon Riders, which are the main characters of the show, will actually be having to change and grow, their comedy works on a much more significant level. Their comedy becomes attached to their character, and the personal connection that you get from the character's self-development makes their comedy more enjoyable. When the show humanizes its characters, it makes you more acceptable to their jokes, regardless of how stupid they might be. There are even many times throughout the show where their constant need to make jokes becomes an opportunity for growth. The show itself acknowledges that sometimes they make too many jokes, and because of that, it has specific episodes where the characters themselves must face that issue, learning that not every time is a good time for jokes. Snotlout, who often acts like the cool kid in class that doesn't really care about a thing, has various episodes where that flanderized personality is challenged. Episode 13 of Season 1, titled Total Nightmare, is a really interesting episode, since Snotlout thinks that Hookfang is going to abandon him for a female monstrous nightmare. For the first time, this makes Snotlout genuinely sad, as he believes he's losing his best friend, and he even gives up on being a Dragon Rider if he can't ride with Hookfang.
It's time to choose her or me.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'm gonna go lay down for a few weeks.
It shows that Snotlout does care about something and loves someone, which is contrasted by his usual opposite behavior, even being unfair to Hookfang at times.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that if I can't fly Hookfang, I don't want to fly any dragon.
Wait a minute, you're
Quitting. That's right.
What?
Time to call on the understudy.
Hey, Fishlegs, how's your Snotlout?
Oh, come on, Snotlout, you're just hurting now, that's all. Give it some time.
No, Hiccup. My mind is made up. I'm going to say goodbye to Hookfang and then sail back to Burke for good. It's over.
A perfect example is episode 4 of season 4, where Snotlout becomes full of self-doubt about his worth as a member of the Dragon Riders team. This is a powerful episode, showing all the feelings of self-doubt that Snotlout has, most of which come from his father's crazy idea of success.
You mock me? Do you know who I am? I used to be a Dragon Rider.
Snotlout?
Poor little Snotlout.
He had such promise.
Look there, sister. It's Snotlout. Shall we stop and say hello?
No, I'd rather polish our golden sheep.
I always thought you'd become the leader of the Dragon Riders, but you never had what it took. No!
Snotlout legitimately almost falls into a state of deep depression and anxiety over his future, which leads him to make countless of wrong decisions. However, this episode brings Hiccup and Snotlout together and strengthens their relationship, with Hiccup acknowledging that no matter what Snotlout is going through, they'll always be there to help him, because he is a part of the team. And in the end, Snotlout is even able to overcome his fear by proving to himself that he can be useful when he puts his mind to it.
Look, Snotlout is clearly going through something right now, and we need to be there for him, as hard as that can seem sometimes. We're a team, he's one of us.
Episode 8 and 9 of Season 2, titled Edge of Disaster, is not only a great example of how the show characterizes the Dragon Riders, but it is also one of the best episodes in the series, because it manages to do that in one of the most memorable ways. This episode takes the best Dragon Rider, Astrid, and possibly two of the most annoying ones, Rough Nut and Tough Nut, and puts them together as a defense team against Dagger, one of the show's main villains. The reason why this episode works so well is because of Astrid's tactful and serious personality in battle, and because of the twins' careless attitude when it comes to anything. As usual, the twins are doing dumb stuff and constantly getting in Astrid's way. However, with a genuine desire to help the team, they end up coming with a pretty useful zipline system that comes back later in episode 9. But Astrid bursts in rage against the twins and tells them how they are always clueless and not doing anything useful.
Because the two of you don't think. You don't plan. You just come up with these crazy ideas and you forge ahead with no regard for logic or what you're even supposed to be doing. What am I gonna do with you guys? Seriously, tell me.
This is probably one of the most powerful moments from this episode, as Ruffnut leaves all her prankster and careless personality behind and stands up against Astrid for her brother and for the Dragon Riders, arguing that Astrid does not have any respect for any of them.
Do you know what your problem is, Astrid?
My problem? Are you serious?
You have no respect for the people around you who are just trying to help and be a part of the team. You have no respect for Fishlegs, certainly none for Snotlout, and you couldn't have less respect for the two of us.
And you might think that she's right because they're useless in the movies, but as I explained before, this show actually makes them useful at their own times. Astrid's frustration is understandable for several reasons. However, one of her biggest character flaws that leads to character growth in these two episodes is Astrid letting go of her pride and seeing that her teammates have feelings and have their value in the group. Not only is this good for Astrid, but it gives some great and needed character to Ruffnut, where it is clear that she is way more self-aware than she might seem. This is even something that grows on her character as the series progresses, and she shows that in times of need, she will come true and stop with all of her out-of-place joking.
Hello? Rope soaked with monstrous nightmare gel? I wouldn't have thought of that.
As for Duffnut, in episode 2 of season 4, titled Gruff Around the Edges, the twins' cousin, who looks exactly like Duffnut, comes to pay them a visit. Duffnut really looks up to his cousin because of all the great adventures that he says he's been in.
Did this island just get 100% more amazing, or is it just me?
Gruffnut! Ah, my hero. Cousin. How are you, friend? Gruffnut.
However, Ruffnut knows that it is all a lie, and that he is not who he makes himself out to be, and tries to convince Duffnut of that. The episode greatly highlights Ruffnut's protective nature and love for her brother, and shows Duffnut realizing how much his sister cares for him.
There they are! This is my fault for not listening to Ruff. How could I be so stupid? I have to make this up to her. It's time for Ballista Nut! Ruff, no! Here I come!
An even greater episode, however, is episode 11 of season 5. In this episode, Throck, one of the show's main side characters, tries to ask for Ruffnut's hand in marriage. However, Ruffnut doesn't want to marry him because she doesn't want to leave Duffnut. Although he is initially happy that she will not leave him, Hiccup and Astrid tell him that if she really loves Throck, then it would be for her happiness that she marry him.
Don't you ever want to meet a beautiful Viking girl and have a family of your own?
Of course.
And what would happen if Ruffnut stood in the way of that?
She would never. Too good of a sister. I'm a monster!
When he realizes that, he tries to fake his own death because he thinks that if he's dead, he won't be holding her back on making the decision. Yes, he is insane, but the point is that he did that trying to let his sister be the happiest that she could have ever been. This is also an amazing episode for Ruffnut, but I've already talked about her, so if you want to find out why, I recommend you go watch it. But the point is that this is an episode that really develops Duffnut's character arc.
By the way, I love you too, and I want you to be happy.
I know you do! But how can I be happy if we're not together?
We will be together. It'll just be different.
And lastly, there's Fishlegs. Now, out of the 5 Dragon Riders, I think Astrid and Fishlegs are the only ones who aren't annoying in the movies, and already had a pretty good personality. Still, Fishlegs is barely used in the movies, and in this series, like the other riders, he's also used in an amazing way. A great example of that is in episode 6 of season 5, titled Return of Thor Bonecrusher. Thor Bonecrusher is an alternate personality of Fishlegs, who is extremely courageous, not afraid of anything, skilled in melee combat, and who also loves to be praised. He first becomes this alternate version of himself in episode 5 of season 1, after Snotlout hypnotizes him. He comes back in this episode after a group of soldiers from Outcast Island come looking for his help to defeat an army of bandits who have captured their leader.
We're desperate. We need someone with the power, strength, and charisma to return our morale and our chief. Someone like
Thor Bonecrusher.
Fishlegs is excited that they're looking for him to help them on this mission, and wants Snotlout to hypnotize him again and bring Thor Bonecrusher back. However, Hiccup believes it is too dangerous, saying that Thor Bonecrusher was brave and awesome, but he was almost too heroic. Fishlegs gets offended by that, believing that Hiccup thinks he is none of those things.
Are you saying I'm not brave enough? Not powerful enough? That I can't do this, Hiccup?
I'm saying, Fishlegs, that you don't even know Thor Bonecrusher. He took you over. Sure, he was brave and awesome, but he was almost too heroic. He was reckless and out of control. You just aren't that guy in your core.
The reason why this episode is so great is because in reality, Fishlegs is the more shy and passive of the characters, and never really enjoys getting into fights. However, it is a recurring theme of his in this series that he does want to be more courageous, and wants the Dragon Riders to respect him on that level. So Snotlout and Fishlegs secretly bring Thor Bonecrusher back, with the condition that if Snotlout claps 3 times, he will be Fishlegs again. However, things get out of hand pretty quick, and the clapping doesn't work.
You're here!
Fishface!
No! Nice try, Hiccup! Now back off, all of you, or I will run him through! Lost a bit of bounty in that skirmish. We don't have the requisite amount of fish necessary to appease your leader. One more handsome ransom, and then we go.
What happens is that the clapping did work. However, if Fishlegs showed the bandits that he became Fishlegs again and not the awesome and mighty Thor Bonecrusher, they would have killed Snotlout, who had been taken as their prisoner. So for a major part of the episode, Fishlegs successfully acts like a tough warrior and even takes on the leaders of the bandits with one hit. The episode ends with Fishlegs proving that he does have the courage inside of him, and with Hiccup realizing that he was wrong about Fishlegs.
That was a crazy risk, Fishlegs, but it proves I was wrong. In your core, you do have a lot of Thor Bonecrusher.
I'd like to think it's the other way around, Hiccup.
The Dragon Riders are amazing in the How to Train Your Dragon series. The way they are characterized, the character growth they undergo, and the unique challenges they overcome all make their inclusion in this series essential to making this a top tier series. However, the Dragon Riders are certainly not the only aspect of this show that makes it a masterpiece.